Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So this is the video that I promised you guys that I would do. So we're out in an open field, and I don't know if you can hear that wind. It's going to be a good test of my microphone today. So we've got sustained winds of around sort of 16 to 20 miles per hour, but gusts up to 35. And yeah, so this is the extreme wind test between the Mini 1 and the Mini 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them both up in the air and hover and see how well they do next to each other. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the gimbal down, sort of fix on a set point, and then see how they keep stable against that on the gimbal. So let's get started. Right, so as you can see, that's the Mini 2 and that's the Mini 1. You can see the Mini 2 is coping with the wind much better than the Mini 1 at the minute, and we are getting some quite good gusts at the minute. You can see the Mini 1 is really struggling, whereas the Mini 2 does seem to be doing that little bit better in this wind test. There you go, a bit more of a gust now. Let's try and just bring these a little bit closer together. There we go, that was quite exciting to do. So as you can see, the Mini 2 is coping that little bit better against the gust, and they're both facing the same way. Mini 1 does seem to be drifting all over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on a fixed point and see how well they can keep on a fixed target. Right, so we've got the Mini 1 hovering now. As you can see, it's not doing too much of a bad job keeping that in focus. So we've got enough footage of that now. I'm just going to switch to the Mini 2 and see how well that does. Right, so just above my head is the Mini 2, and obviously I'll have to go back and look at this footage in a bit, but it does seem like that's coping a fair bit better with the wind than what the Mini 1 was. But yeah, good fun this. You know, it really is gusting hard. So yeah, I think it's shown it's pretty capable. Anyway, let's get it down. I think the test is done. Right then, I think that's the end of the test. Again, absolutely battered by wind here, so I'm not too sure how successful that actually was, but I guess I'll see when I find the footage when I get home. So from what I can see, the Mini 2 seemed to perform a lot better when it was stationary anyway, or just hovering. The Mavic Mini 1 was just jumping around all over, and obviously I just want to clarify, it was both in sport mode as well. So obviously the fairest test possible to give them the ability to hover and fight the wind. I'm not too sure on the other bits. Obviously I'll have to check and finish this video once I get home. So we'll catch up once I've looked at the footage myself. Hi everybody, so obviously now I'm home and I've had a chance to review the footage that I've just taken and that you've already just seen. So what springs to mind firstly is, what doesn't really come across on the video is just how much the original Mavic Mini 1 was actually fighting the wind. There was a lot more points where obviously the Mini 1 was sort of on its side tilting, or really struggling. At one point you do really hear the Mini 1 scream as it's trying to put itself back in position, whereas the Mini 2, obviously it got blown around by the wind quite a bit, just as the Mini 1 did, but it seemed to do it in a much more smooth way. So rather than trying to scream and obviously get that tilt to try and fight the wind, it tended to just be able to maintain level flight and move forward. And obviously something else on the Mini one as well, you didn't really see that it was sort of jumping around in sort of altitude as it was fighting the wind. Whereas the Mini one did seem to be a lot more stable, in its height, and keep that steady. So hopefully, I think that's about as good a test as I can possibly do. I do feel that the wind was gusting up to a ridiculous speed that these drones really should never be flown in. Little straight up confession: at one point, the Mini 1 did start to just fly backwards, but I was just close enough to the ground and I'd planned the area to make sure that it couldn't really go anywhere. But yeah, full throttle forward and it was just still going back. So guys, quite frankly, it was never in doubt of losing the drone because obviously I was close enough to the ground, so I just dropped it down and just landed. But the point is, now I know first-hand experience just how easy it is to lose your drone and why people do get flyaways. And like I say, the gust was high, but the standard wind speed was quite high as well. UAV forecast did show it as 60 miles per hour. However, Windfinder showed it around 20. Now, given the fact that I never fly in anything above sort of 10 miles per hour normally, especially during the summer, yeah, it was a bit of a risk for me and a lot of fun having two drones up there and trying to film them. But I'm just trying to bring you good content. So hopefully you've liked this video and hopefully it shows that the Mini 2 does perform quite a bit better as well. So if you have watched my previous videos, then thank you very much. If you haven't, please do go check those out on the Mini 2. Especially the ones where I'm testing them against the Mini 1. I've done some sort of sample 4K footage on the Mini 2 as well. As usual, if you do fancy buying one of the Minis, whether it's the Mavic Mini or the Mini 2, there is some buying links in the description below. I do appreciate if you sort of click one of those before you buy it. It means nothing to you, but it just helps the channel out. Hopefully you found that video really, really useful. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.